I, 40F. Just blew up my marriage with husband, 46M. Now I don't know what to do. Last night started pretty normal. Husband and I had a pretty laid-back evening. For background, we had a pretty stable relationship. We have a good division of labor and don't argue about finances. There have been a few hot-button issues that keep recurring over our 15-year relationship, 10-year marriage. And #X200B. And #X200B. The first is that his family walks all over me when they come to visit. They have gotten somewhat better, but still treat my home like it's their personal Airbnb. Taking over my kitchen, taking the remote and choosing what we are watching on TV, declaring what will be for dinner, setting up games at the table and saying everyone is going to play, and inviting additional people to come and stay without asking. I feel invisible and disrespected. Husband knows this, and has spoken to his dad, who has improved a little. And #X200B. And #X200B. The second is that Sil gave an ex-girlfriend husband's phone number when they ran into each other right after husband and I got married. Husband usually had me check his phone when he gets messages while working in the yard to determine whether it's important enough to disturb his work. I see these messages where she is majorly flirty, complaining about her marriage, she is now divorced, and reminiscing on their old relationship. I felt betrayed. I told husband that I felt uncomfortable with him messaging her. He explained Sil gave her his contact info and they started messaging. I felt doubly betrayed. He said he didn't see a reason not to keep messaging her. And #X200B. And #X200B. Third. We moved for his career 2 times, so I often don't know people in our new locations. When we go to events, he completely leaves me alone where I don't know anyone. I've asked him to stay with me while he mingles with people, but he continues to disappear at parties. Recently, we went to New Orleans for a wedding. During the second parade he took off running ahead and left me alone marching in the back down the darkness of Bourbon Street. And #X200B. And #X200B. There are others issues. For the past 3 months our sex life was completely dead. Anyway, last weekend Sil came to visit. She was fine at first, but then took over the kitchen. Then she took our clothes out of the washing machine, not washed yet, and put her clothes in. She had her foster children there and the whole time she yelled, and yelled, and yelled at them. I was so exhausted hosting and overwhelmed by the yelling. I think the 4-year-old spent more time standing looking at the wall and time out than doing anything else. I was so overstimulated and sad the whole time. She left on Tuesday and I had nightmares about her yelling and the children crying for days afterward. And #X200B. And #X200B. So on to last night. I asked husband if he saw a message I sent on FB. I don't usually use FB, so he was surprised and said he didn't get it. He got his phone and showed me. I see the name of X on the list of people he has been messaging. After the exhausting weekend feeling disrespected, this was just like a punch in the stomach. I agreed that I didn't see the message and showed him on my end that it was sent. We agreed it was odd. And #X200B. And #X200B. Later, I could not hold it in. I said I saw X on his messages. I was hurt. He got defensive and said it's fine. Nothing is going on. I said it still upsets me. He yells and brings up all sorts of things that were not related. I started watching his body language. Time seemed to slow down and it was like I was no longer in my own body. I calmly and slowly walked up to him, took my ring off, put the ring in his hand and said, "I'm done. It's over. I'm going to take my things out of our room and sleep in the guest room. Keep your friend. I'm done." At the time I was so eerily calm. I meant what I said. And #X200B. And #X200B. I still cannot believe I did this. I still think I meant it. I really love my husband, but I am not feeling loved. It feels like I'm trying to puppeteer a skeleton in this marriage. I don't know what to do now. We are talking civilly this morning but have not brought it up. I am torn. Part of me can't see what a life without him would look like, but another part doesn't know that this is a situation I can sustain. We have gone to counseling before, but it was not helpful. I always left feeling worse, and so did he. What are your thoughts? Advice please. Honestly, I think you're done. When you know, you know. It sucks, but it happens a lot. You deserve better. You are not a bad person, and you deserve to be with someone who makes you feel heard, respected, especially in your own home, and supported. You deserve a marriage where you feel 10 feet tall because your partner pours the love you need into you, and instead it sounds like you are becoming a shell of your former self. What you did was fantastic and significant, other brave. I think you made the right decision for you, and I hope you can fight back the manipulation he may try to use to keep you there. You deserve so much more, so please leave so that you can receive it. Red heart, red heart, red heart. He certainly hasn't made you number one in his life. Keeping in contact with an ex without kids being involved is a big red flag. His sister is no help for your relationship, and the disrespect is atrocious. You did the right thing handing him back your ring. Now to show you are serious, make an appointment to see a divorce lawyer. You are miserable in your marriage. You don't have to live this way with this man who doesn't give a shit about the fact that you are miserable. It's scary, but you have set yourself free. And he still won't block her? There's no putting that ring back on until she's consigned to history forever. Edit. Following for updates. Husband 36M has been lying to me 35F about a coworker. My 36M husband, who I have been with for 13 years now and have 3 kids with, started to lie to me 35F about a coworker 5 years ago. It all started when one day I found a pair of Adidas sneakers, $200, that he bought for her because it was her birthday. The day he purchased them, he told me he was grocery shopping but didn't mention he stopped by the mall, and I even recall when I helped bring in the groceries, they were all in the front seat instead of the trunk, which I found odd but didn't think much about it. Anyways, next day I had to get a cable box I had to return from the trunk, and that's when I found the shoes and asked who they were for. He admitted they were for this girl at his work, and I told him that a gift like that made me feel uncomfortable, and why didn't he talk to me about it if he really wanted to get that for her. Anyways, he was apologetic, but something in my gut was telling me I don't know the whole story. Eventually I did look through his phone and found out this wasn't the first time he lied about her. He had been to her place a few times during the week and stayed at her house till 10 p.m. when he had told me he was hanging out with his other guy friends. I confronted him and he stated he lied to me because during that time I had just gave birth to our 3rd child and was navigating postpartum depression, and he didn't want me to stress or worry about anything. Throughout the years, other things happened, like him sending her flowers, buying her more gifts, chatting with her about her personal stuff. I want to believe they are truly just friends, but I just don't get why he lies to me. He says because he thinks I'll go crazy, but I have talked to him and assured him that I would rather have him be upfront with me than do things behind my back, but now this friendship makes me feel uncomfortable. Eventually we had agreed on him being upfront and letting me know if they ever hang out to help me start to feel more comfortable. Well, that was 5 years ago. Until this day, he still lies about this woman, even hung out with her a month ago and still using the same excuse that he lies because he doesn't know how I will react. I don't know what to do. When we discuss, he gets very upset, asks why I get so jealous, how she is such a nice person, etc. And I don't have to worry. I have asked for us to go to therapy, but he has refused because he doesn't believe in it. I have even taken time apart from him, but he reels me in because during that time of us not being on good terms, he buys me things, starts helping out more with kids and house, basically becomes super nice. But every time I try to talk to him and try to get this resolved so the lying stops, he just gets upset again, gives me the silent treatment, tells me he is just going to get on Bumble because he can't handle this anymore, but then goes to being such a nice person once his anger settles. I sometimes feel like maybe I am overreacting. I really don't want to control him. I just want honesty and consideration, so I currently feel really stuck. I should say when they first started talking and hanging out, this woman did not have a BF. I believe she has a boyfriend now, so I know nothing is going on, but I just don't get why he has to lie about hanging out with her. Should I just let it go, or is it time for me to move on? If I'm being honest, my perception of him has just changed and I now feel detached. Thinking face. If this has been going on 5 years. And he has to lie to you about what he's doing even after you know most of what's going on now. Sounds like it may be time for you to move on. Especially if he's ever actually cheated on you. But it sounds like you need someone that will treat you with respect and like you're the only woman in the world. He has been having an affair. He has been very successful in manipulating you and making you doubt yourself and reality. Get your finances in order and start making plans to leave. It's over. He is cheating. Buying $200 pairs of shoes, sending flowers, talking about personal stuff with a person of the opposite sex, lying about where they are at when they are at this person's apartment at 10 p.m. that doesn't say, just friends, that's his mistress. I have even taken time apart from him, but he reels me in because during that time of us not being on good terms, he buys me things, starts helping out more with kids and house, basically becomes super nice. He is probably just playing nice to keep you from divorcing him. Like that saying, it's cheaper to keep her. Divorce, child support on 3 kids, and possibly alimony wouldn't come cheap. This can't be real, right? I'm sorry, but I don't get how someone can be this naive and this much a pushover. You're basically allowing to keep cheating at this point. I only read until the shoes of $200. Girl, it's obvious he ain't faithful. My 25F husband, 28M, got new close friends and I hate them. My husband got transferred to a new location for work. We didn't have to move or anything. His branch closed, but they liked him, so they transferred him to another one 40 minutes away. There, he met new friends Jill, 23F, and Mark, 24M. They have, in the last 4 months, become his closest friends. He sees them every day pretty much, texts them all the time, and overall is closer to them than he has ever been with anyone that I've seen. Even long-term friends. Our marriage of 2 years had been struggling. He told me recently that his friends filled a void that we were experiencing in our relationship. I don't know what that means. We're trying to fix things. But they're still as present, and I think it's stopping us. I tried to talk to him about how the closeness of the friendships may be affecting us now that we're trying to move forward, given that the void they fill shouldn't always be empty. But he won't budge. We might get divorced. I am happy that he has new friends, but it just feels like I'm being replaced given how he described it. Is there a way to overcome this? Any advice on how to regard such friendships? Edit. Wow. I really appreciate all of the replies. I just want everyone to know that I did not ask him to cut them out of his life. I had just asked that it take a bit of a step back so we could work on nurturing our marriage and growing that bond that we've always had. Also, I have friends. I see my friends regularly. Just not every day, nor do I feel the need to. I see non-family friends for dinners and such usually twice a week. My sister I see more because we do lunch and I help watch my niece on Thursdays due to her work schedule. Also, I got married at 23 because my dad was diagnosed with cancer. We had originally planned the wedding to be this year actually, but I wanted my dad there and will never regret having him walk me down the aisle. He passed 6 months later and it is something I will hold dear to my heart forever. But I do think maybe it's been the way I've communicated to my husband that wasn't received the way I hoped. One person said it well that yeah, it kind of hurts to see him nurturing the sort of bond with others that I'm seeing us lose. I have plans tonight to take us out for something fun and maybe talk about that and reassure that I am happy he has these people and that I don't want him to lose them entirely. But that, right now as we're trying to get through this patch in our marriage, we need to plan more uninterrupted time to talk and do fun things too. Thank you all. He told me recently that his friends filled a void that we were experiencing in our relationship. I don't know what that means. We're trying to fix things. How are you trying to fix things when you don't even know what the problem is? First of all, new friendships are always exciting. Then they settle down eventually when that honeymoon period wears off. I think the bigger issue here is you sound a bit codependent. What are the problems you allude to in your post, and how does your husband investing in new friendships take away from those? Is he supposed to intensely just work on you, your relationship? Where are your friends in this equation? There's clearly more going on here than simply him having new friends. You're only 25 and already talking about being divorced. There's gotta be some massive underlying issues. How long have you been married? Can you, as a first step, ask your husband not to text when you are having a conversation? That is so rude. He can have some manners for a start. Fixing a relationship doesn't involve isolating your spouse. My boyfriend, M26, went to a strip club and I, F24, don't know what to do. I know this is a very cliched conversation, but I feel like I'm at a loss for what to do and I'd really appreciate any advice. We have been together 2 years. My boyfriend was on a bachelor weekend and they went to a strip club. I'm very vocally opposed to sex work, not the workers, but the industry. It's something I've studied extensively, written papers about for college, and volunteered with SAW victims, many of whom were sex workers. I don't want to get into a whole strip club debate on here, but this is something I think about a lot and feel very passionately for. My boyfriend knows all of this. When we first met, I told him I wouldn't be comfortable with him following Instagram models, and he later told me that he felt not following girls was better for his mental health, and I was really grateful that he respected my boundaries. He was on another bachelor weekend a while ago, and when I asked him if he was going to do anything like go to a strip club, he said no, he doesn't like them, and I talked about how I don't like them either, and I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. Anyways, the morning after this trip, he called me and told me that they went to a strip club because the groom wanted to, but they only stayed for about 10 minutes because they didn't like the way the girls were throwing themselves at them, but he thought he'd call and let me know. I don't really feel any differently that they didn't stay long, the intention was there. I honestly just feel really hurt and heartbroken. I understand that it wasn't his idea, and I know that the peer pressure on these kinds of trips is huge, so I don't want to attack him, but at the same time I don't know how I can deal with my own emotions regarding this. I am grateful that he told me about it, but he knows that this is a very hard boundary for me and something I feel very strongly about. I don't really know how to handle this going forward. I'm not angry at him, but I do feel extremely hurt and miserable, like something fundamental has changed. I realize that might sound dramatic, so I honestly don't know how to come to terms with this or communicate it to him. We haven't spoken about it yet. I honestly don't know how I am supposed to feel or react. How do I handle my feelings towards him changing, and how do I discuss this with him? Too long did not read. My boyfriend went to a strip club and I don't know how to handle it. I don't think he is telling the truth. It's a good thing he told you and didn't hide it. It is something that convinced me there's a chance your problem gets solved with negotiation and therapy. If you had found it by your own, I would have said to ghost him and dump him. So you can have a serious talk with him, and say you would leave if he doesn't respect your boundaries. Don't strip clubs charge admission fee? Just doesn't sound right that they all paid to get in and left 10 minutes later. He did admit to going at least. Just because he confessed, don't even know if he was telling the truth, he still broke the boundary. Maybe he is just testing waters to see what else he can get away with. It's your choice to make, but I don't see a good ending in that relationship. Clearly, you are a woman of principle. I think you have to break up with him. Lol, do you really believe they only stayed for 10 minutes? Be for reals.